My greatest piece of advice would be to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you.
What do you get when you mix a Carnegie Hall cellist and an entrepreneurial prodigy? You get Andrew Dudum, the Palestinian-American tech entrepreneur who not only broke startup norms, but also defied industry expectations to achieve mega success. Discover how Andrew spent 2 years in intense market research before skyrocketing Hims from $0 to $1 million in recurring revenue in just 5 weeks. Then took the bold step of going public sooner than anyone expected, which has been a wild ride ever since. Dudum's unconventional playbook is anything but ordinary, and that's not his only grand slam. He's secured hundreds of millions from heavyweights like Peter Thiel and Marc Andreessen for his venture studio, Atomic. Andrew revolutionized marketing by targeting gym locker rooms and Giants bathrooms, and even convinced Snoop Dogg to back Hims over a joint. Get inspired by the amazing strategies and tactics that Andrew used in his journey. Andrew Dudum's story begins in the bustling heart of San Francisco, where the entrepreneurial spirit was a part of his daily life. His family ran diverse businesses, instilling in Andrew a sense of scrappiness and self-reliance. From a young age, Andrew was passionate about music, initially wanting to play the electric guitar, but starting with the cello at his mother's behest. This led to performances at prestigious venues like Carnegie Hall, showcasing his early commitment and talent. In high school, Andrew was a natural leader, becoming class president and leading various clubs. A significant moment in his life was when his father was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, teaching him profound lessons in independence and resilience. He explains that it accelerated his learning phase.
Thank God he's healthy now, 20 years later, whatever it is. But for those years, he explicitly made an effort of saying, hey, I'm going to teach you how to be a grown-up, because there's a really good chance I'm not here to help you be a grown-up. Right. So for a very short period of time, and actually probably for the next 10 years after that, I had parents, and explicitly a father who, I think tried to accelerate my learning phase.
Andrew was determined to excel academically, setting his sights on top schools. His hard work paid off when he got accepted into Wharton. While there, he explored various paths and industries, including working on a nonprofit startup and even diving into the restaurant business. Eventually, Andrew realized traditional finance wasn't for him. He describes dropping out of Wharton at age 19 was a critical moment for him.
And I think it was an inflection point because it was really the first time where I was committing to myself and committing externally to say that this unproven path, not working in finance, not moving to New York, not doing kind of what the peer group was doing, could work.
Another pivotal moment was an internship at TalkBox, a company backed by Sequoia, where he discovered his passion for product management, a role perfectly aligning with his skills in strategy and creativity. Andrew describes the PM role as being a mini CEO.
So the best way I was described, that role was essentially a mini CEO. You're a mini CEO for a specific business line or a specific product. So that means you're responsible for the strategy of what's going to get built, what the customer is going to buy, how much it's going to cost. You're in charge of how it's positioned, how it's going to go to market, and making sure it's making money, right? And you're not the CEO of the big company, but you're the CEO of kind of this little company. And even harder than a CEO, essentially nobody reports to you, but it's your responsibility that it gets done.
Andrew thrived in the startup environment, learning to build, lead, and innovate. These experiences honed his instincts, essential for his future endeavors, including his role as CEO of Hims and Hers. Atomic is a kind of venture studio where the team builds and funds companies. Atomic was born from Andrew's desire to combine venture capital expertise with entrepreneurial execution, aiming to increase startup success rates. Testing is a cornerstone of Atomic's strategy. Andrew believes that even the best products can fail if they don't reach their customers effectively. Therefore, they focus heavily on testing distribution channels.
And we started prototyping and testing ideas. We probably did 20 to 30 tests a year, landing pages, go-to-market tests, calling up, pretending to sell things that didn't exist, tracking all the data. And then from that, narrowing it down to 3 or 4 different companies that we'd invest in, and then start to kind of build, as you were mentioning, and try to spin out as real companies.
Andrew and his team focus on solving problems they personally encounter. One success story is Terminal, addressing the challenge of hiring engineers. By building engineering hubs globally, Terminal connects top talent with Silicon Valley startups, embodying Atomic's innovative approach. In a world where ordering a car or food is a breeze, yet accessing healthcare feels like navigating a maze, Andrew and his team at Atomic saw a chance to revolutionize healthcare. Additionally, Andrew emphasizes that the internet is full of false information and makes people feel very uncomfortable about their issues.
Let's see what the internet says.
So men would result to late night Google searches and incognito browser mode on their iPhone and find very, very scary stuff online and snake oil. And I think what HIMSS aims to do is educate men about the normalcy of these issues, the fact that they are very, very common, the fact that there are opportunities for them to seek treatment for these issues, and that treatment is actually very effective and very cost affordable. So that's kind of the background story for HIMSS. And it's something that I've really seen in action with so many of my peers in the last few years, and that's really what kind of motivated me to get this going.
With key drug patents expiring and telemedicine laws evolving, they envisioned HIMSS and HERS, a platform to make healthcare as accessible as ordering a pizza. Before launching, Andrew's team spent 2 years diving deep into market research, uncovering that men often struggled with health issues like hair loss and sexual health due to societal stigma. Recognizing this, HIMSS aimed to normalize these conversations and offer effective, affordable treatments. In line with the Atomic values, HIMSS started with a low-budget experiment.
And with 50,000, we built a prototype over the weekend, and this was in 2016. A prototype over the weekend that would let men download a mobile app, answer questions about their health, and then sign up for a package relating to different types of medical conditions that they were worried about.
Soon after launching the experiment, it was clear that HIMSS showed tremendous potential.
And in the first 5 weeks of that prototype, we did $1 million in sales signing up for the offer. And again, nothing was built yet. It was signing up for a wait list. They put in their credit card, and then I would manually email them and say, hey, you've been added to the list. Like, total early testing, right? Kind of 0 to 1 phase. That cost just $50,000. And it was at that point that we were able to look back, look at the customers that had come in, look at their profiles, look at their willingness to pay, and decided that there was real demand to go and build that company.
Andrew didn't want to be dependent on competitive channels like Facebook and Google. He also emphasizes the importance of a brand presence in the real world. From day one, HIMSS had a unique approach to advertising and brand building, finding unconventional channels and touchpoints to build customer relationships. A memorable moment for Andrew was when investor Ron Conway introduced him to Snoop Dogg. They smoked weed and shared vitamin gummies, a great start of a fruitful relationship. HIMSS's financial health has always been extraordinary for a startup. Scaling rapidly, HIMSS was close to $100 million in revenue after a year and a half, while realizing an amazing 76% gross margin. Another strength in their revenue structure is that 90% of their revenue is based on recurring revenue from subscriptions. Initially self-funded through Atomic, HIMSS validated their business model with great success. When it was time to raise a round from VCs, Andrew knew that money was not the only thing that matters. Another unique part of HIMSS's journey was to go public at an early age. While the current trend is to stay private, Andrew believes in the benefits of being a public company.
And I think I have maybe a unique opinion right now that building in the public markets is maybe one of the best advantages you can have for a company that's trying to build something that's 10, 20-year vision, right? And I think a lot of people forget, frankly, that some of the best companies in the world went public just a few years after launch, right? Apple, Amazon, like Google, these companies went public 3, 4, 5 years after they were founded.
Of course, Andrew didn't go public to benefit himself or HIMSS. He did it all for the investors. He just wants to give everyone the option to invest in a company as great as his.
I actually think there's a real advantage to building in the public markets because as a public market investor myself, I don't see businesses like HIMSS and HERS in the public markets, and I would love to invest in a company like mine in the public markets. Right? In the last 10 years, all of the growth has been kept out of the public markets and been kind of maintained in the private markets. So everyone's just investing in like the Vanguard 500 and Netflix and Tesla and Facebook and Google because there's nothing else.
Andrew's vision for Hims and Hers was not just a quick success, but a long-term, multi-generational public company. He aims to balance growth and value. Investing in brand equity and customer relationships, even at a short-term loss, is crucial. He aims for a market cap of $100 billion in the next 10 to 20 years. Personally, for Andrew, money can still be a scary thing. Not so much that fact that he doesn't have enough, though.
So money still really scares me, I think, just for very, very different reasons. And it scares me so much that, to be completely honest, Leia and I, you know, my wife, we talk a lot about how we're going to give it away as quickly as possible. We think about money as let's get that pool of money that gives us peace of mind to live our life and be happy and not screw up our kids and not screw up any of the family dynamics, any of the relation dynamics we want to maintain. And then after that point, how do we give it away?
Subscribe to House of Heroes to watch more inspiring stories that highlight the experiences of entrepreneurs, investors, and business leaders. Learn about growth, mental models, productivity, business models, investing, philanthropy, and technology. Tune in to House of Heroes and find your inspiration in the stories we tell.